Okay, we're going to make a start now to today's lesson. So welcome everyone to our GCSE Maths session. In today's lesson, we are going to be looking at angles and polygons, and then we're going to be looking at some exam questions, and then we'll end off with a blockade towards the end of the lesson. So for those who were here earlier, there was a starter question on the screen for you guys to have a go at. So we're going to start off by going through this question, and then we will move through it to the questions that we're looking at in today's lesson. So this was the starter question. So let's go through it. So remember, when we've got parallel lines, you can see A to B and C to D, they are parallel to each other. We're going to be using the rules, um, the F rules, we're going to be using Z rules, we're going to be using X rules, and we're going to be using C rules. Okay, so remember the F rules, if you spot an F anywhere, that means corresponding angles. And remember the fact that we need to know about corresponding angles. Corresponding angles, they are equal in size. Okay, so corresponding angles are equal. So if you ever spot an F anywhere in this shape over here, they are going to be equal. Okay, Z, if you ever spot a Z shape in a shape, that means they are alternate. So alternate angles, they are also equal. So these two angles that you can see highlighted on the Z, they are going to be equal. So if you ever spot a shape, like a Z shape within parallel lines, that means that the alternate angles, which are the angles within the corners of the Z, they are going to be equal. You've got vertically opposite over here. Vertically opposite angles or X angles. So as you can see over here, we have an X shape. You can see this X shape being here. Opposite angles in an X shape, they are equal. And the rule that there is vertically opposite. So if you ever spot an X shape in parallel lines, that means you're going to be using that rule where it says vertically opposite angles, they are equal in size. And then you have this C shape over here, and C shape shows you co-interior angles. Okay, and co-interior angles, they are not equal in size. Co-interior angles, they add up to 180 degrees. So these add up to 180 degrees. So over here, these two angles that you have within the C shape, these two angles, they're going to add up to 180 degrees. Okay, so co-interior angles. These top three, they're going to be equal. The co-interior angle that you see over here, they're going to add up to 180 degrees. So we looked at this in a previous lesson. So if we continue going through this exam question, it says AB and CD, they are parallel. It says find the size of angle X. Angle X is over here. And it says give a reason for each stage of your working. So in order to work our angle X, we're going to need to know this angle over here, and we're going to need to know this angle. And then we can use the fact that angles on a straight line add up to 180 degrees. Okay, because we know that angles on a straight line add to 180 degrees. Okay, so if we can work out all the angles that are lying on that straight line, we can then work out what angle X is going to be. Okay, so can we spot any shapes? Okay, I can spot a shape. I can spot this shape over here. Okay, I can spot this C shape being formed over here. Okay, and the opposite way around, C shape. And what do we know about C shapes? We know that the angles within the C will add up to 180 degrees. So that means if this angle over here is 120 degrees, that means that this angle over here is going to be 60 degrees. Okay, and the reason why it's 60 degrees is because co-interior angles add up to 180 degrees. So AFE, is going to be equal to 60 degrees. And the reason why it's equal to 60 degrees is because angles which are co-interior add up to 180 degrees. You need to give your reasoning as well. So co-interior angles add up to 180 degrees. Okay, so we've worked out this angle. Now we need to work out this red angle, and then we can work out what the x angle is going to be. And we can see that we have a triangle over here. Okay, so you should be able to see that there's this triangle over here that I've drawn in blue. Okay, and we know a rule about triangles. Angles in a triangle add up to 180 degrees. So we know that this angle is 48 degrees. We know that this angle is 35 degrees. So that means we can work out what this angle is going to be, because we know the angles in a triangle add up to 180 degrees. So we're going to do 180 subtract 35 subtract 48. Okay, and 180 subtract 35 subtract 48 is going to get you an answer of 97. Okay, and because it gives you an answer of 97, this 97 is this angle over here, angle EFG. EFG. And the reason why we know that it's that angle is because we use the rule that angles in a triangle add up to 180 degrees. So angles in a triangle add to 180 degrees. Okay, so we're explaining each stage of our working. And then finally, we need to work out what this x angle over here is going to be. And we said that this line, that we have this flat line, angles on a straight line add up to 180 degrees. We know that this is 60. We know that this is 97. So we need to work out what x is going to be. Okay, so we know that it's going to be 180 minus 97 minus 60. And that's going to get you an answer of 23 degrees. And the reason why it's 23 degrees is because we use this rule, which says angles on a straight line add up to 180 degrees. So angles on a straight line add to 180 degrees. So that's where the 23 degrees comes from, and your answer is going to be 23 degrees. We have shown our working out an explanation to each part of the answer. Okay, so that was just a recap question. What we're going to be looking at today is how to work out an angle in a polygon. Okay, so we're going to be looking at angles in polygons. And there is one formula that we're going to be constantly referring to throughout this lesson. Okay, and this is the formula. So it says n minus 2 multiplied by 180 degrees. This is the formula that we're constantly going to be using throughout the whole lesson. And n tells you the number of sides. Okay, that's what the n stands for. So number of sides. So n minus 2 multiplied by 180 degrees. And if you use this formula, this will give you the sum of all the angles in a in the shape. Okay, so using this formula will tell you the sum of all the angles in the shape. And if you want to work out what each individual angle is worth, then you would just divide it by the number of angles. So you would still use this formula, n minus 2 multiplied by 180. That will tell you what all the angles in the shape add up to. If you want to work out what each angle is, you will then just divide it by the number of sides. Okay, so n is always going to be the number of sides. Okay, and we're going to be using this formula throughout the lesson. We're going to combine it with a bit of algebra as well as we progress through to some harder questions. So we have n minus 2 multiplied by 180. So if we look at an example question, so we're going to start off with a simple question. So it says, work out the size of each interior angle in a regular octagon. Okay, now first of all, let's have a look at what these keywords mean. Regular means all the sides are of the same length. So all sides are of same length. Okay, interior angle means the inside angle. So it means the inside angle. So if we're talking about interior angles in this regular octagon, we're talking about these angles. These are the inside angles of the octagon. Now, because this is a polygon is any 2D shape. We're going to be, and we're working out the size of the angle, we're going to be using the formula n minus 2 multiplied by 180. Okay, so that's the formula that we're going to be using, and that's going to get you the sum of all the angles in that polygon. So first of all, we know that n stands for the number of sides. We know that in an octagon, you can just count up the sides. There are 8 sides. So what we're going to do is we're going to do 8 subtract 2, and then we're going to multiply it by 180. Okay, so 8 minus 2 multiplied by 180 is going to get you an answer of 1080. What that tells you is that all the angles in this shape add up to 1080 degrees. However, we want to work out the size of each interior angle. We don't want the sum of all the angles. We just want to know what one of these angles is equal to. Okay, we know that all of the angles are going to be the same. So in a regular shape, all the sides are going to be the same, but all the angles are also going to be the same. So all angles are also the same. We know that all the angles, they add up to 1080, but we want to know what one angle is equal to. So how many sides are there? Remember, if we go back to the formula over here, to work out what each individual angle is equal to, we do the same. We do n minus 2 multiplied by 180. And then all we do is we divide it by the number of sides, and that will tell you what each individual angle is equal to. So if we move on over here, we've used n minus 2 multiplied by 180, and that's given us 1080. That's the sum of all the angles. If we want to work out what each individual angle is, we're just going to get that 1080 and we're going to divide it by the number of sides there are, because the number of sides is going to be the same as the number of angles. So there's 8 sides over here. So you can count there's going to be 8 angles. We're just going to divide it by 8. So if we do 1080 divided by 8, that's going to get you an answer of 135 degrees. So that means each angle in this shape, each interior angle is worth 135 degrees. Okay, and if you wanted to test your answer, you can add them all together. And when you add them all together, you get 1080. So the answer to this is just going to be 135 degrees. That's the size of each interior angle of this regular shape. We've used this formula, n minus 2 multiplied by 180, and that's given us the sum of all the angles. And now we want to work out what each individual angle is. To work out what each individual angle is, you're going to divide by the number of angles there are. And there are 8 angles, so we're going to divide it by 8, and that's going to get you the size of each individual angle. Okay, so moving on, that was just an example. I have a very similar question for you guys to have a go at. Have a go at this question. I'll give you guys a minute or so and type your answer into the Q&A once you've had a go. If you don't have access to the Q&A, again, there's a QR code at the bottom there, which you can scan and let me know your answers through that. Okay, just 30 more seconds, and then I'll start going through the answers. In terms of this formula, yes, you will need to memorize it. It's not given on the formula sheet. Okay, so I'm going to start going through the answers now. So it says, work out the size of each interior angle in a regular pentagon. So what we're going to do is, because we're talking about angles and we're given a polygon, we know that we're going to be using the formula n minus 2 multiplied by 180. Okay, so that's the formula. And we know that n is the number of sides. And we know that in this shape, there are 5 sides. So we're going to do 5 minus 2, and we're going to multiply it by 180 degrees. Now, 5 minus 2 multiplied by 180 degrees is going to get you an answer of 540. And what this tells you, this is the sum of all the angles within the pentagon. Okay, so sum of all angles in the pentagon. But we want to work out the size of each interior angle. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to get the 540 and we're going to divide it by the number of angles that we have there. So we can see that we have 5 angles. So because we have 5 angles, we're going to divide it by 5. So 540 divided by 5 is going to get you an answer of 108, which tells you that each angle that you see here is going to be 108 degrees. Okay, so the answer is going to be 108 degrees. So that's the most sort of basic type of question which you can get asked in terms of angles and polygons. We're now going to take it up a level, and we're going to have a look at a question like this. So it says ABCDE is a pentagon. Work out the size of angle ABC. Okay, so remember, when we're asked to work out the size of an angle, it's just the middle letter that we're looking at. ABC, we're only looking at the middle letter, which is B. So that's X. So what we're going to do is the exact same sort of logic that we used previously. We're given a polygon over here. It's a 2D shape. We are given angles over here, so we're going to be using the formula n minus 2 multiplied by 180 degrees. Okay, so let's count how many sides there are in this shape. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 sides in this shape. So in place of n, we're going to substitute 5 in. We're going to subtract 2, and we're going to multiply it by 180. Okay, now 5 subtract 2 is 3. 3 times 180 is going to get you an answer of 540. Okay, now what this tells you is that all the angles in this shape add up to 540 degrees. So all angles in this shape add to 540 degrees. That's what it says over here. So now we know that this angle is 95, this angle is 86, this angle is 117, this angle is 123. We need to work out what the size of this missing angle x is. But we do know that all of them, they add up to this magic value of 540 degrees. So we know that when you do 95, add 86, add 117, add 123, add x, which we need to work out. When we do all of that, we should get an answer of 540 degrees. So it must be equal to 540 degrees. Okay, so let's add all these numbers up first. So let's do 95, add 86, add 117, add 123. That gets you an answer of 421. So we have 421, add x, and that's equal to 540. And then we want x to be by itself. At the moment, 421 is being added to x. We want to get rid of that 421. We want x to be by itself. And to get rid of it, we need to do the opposite of it, and we need to do the same to both sides. So at the moment, it's being added. So to get rid of it, we're going to subtract 421 from both sides. And that's going to get rid of the 421 on this side. And then we're going to do the same to the other side. We're going to subtract 421 from the other side. So now we're left with just x on this side. And on the other side, we have to do 540 subtract 421. And that is indeed going to get you an answer of 119 degrees. 540 subtract 421 gives you 119 degrees. So the answer is just going to be 119. Okay, so that's how you would work out a question like this. You're still using the same formula, n minus 2 multiplied by 180. And you're still working out what all the angles add up to. And then you're using the angles that you've been given to work out what the missing value for x is going to be. Okay, and this is what you would classify as an irregular shape. Okay, this is an irregular shape because an irregular shape has sides which are of different lengths, and it also have angles which are of different lengths. When we looked at this example over here, this is a regular shape because all the sides are of the same length and all the angles are the same. Over here, this shape has different sides and it has different angles, which means that it's an irregular shape. Okay, so moving on, a similar question for you guys to have a go at. I want you guys to work out what the size of angle X is going to be. I'll give you guys a couple of minutes. Once you have an answer, you can type your answer into the Q&A, or you can let me know your answer through scanning the QR code there if you don't have access to the Q&A. Okay, just 30 more seconds, and then I'll start going through the answers. Okay, I'm going to start going through the answers now. Yes, the answer is 85 degrees. So when we look at this question, so we're given a polygon and we're given angles. So when we're given a shape like this, we know that we're going to we're going to have to use the formula n minus 2 multiplied by 180 degrees. So n minus 2 multiplied by 180 degrees. Now n is the number of sides. How many sides do we have here? We have 5 sides. Okay, so we're going to do 5 subtract 2 multiplied by 180 degrees, and that's going to get you 540 degrees. And this is an irregular shape because all the sides are of different lengths and all the angles are of different lengths as well. We know that all the angles, they must add up to the magic number of 540. Okay, so we have 90 degrees here, 90 degrees here, 160 degrees, 115 degrees, and we have x. So all of those, when you add them together, they should get you an answer of 540 degrees. Okay, this, to be honest, is more likely to come up on a calculator paper, but you could get this on a non-calculator paper. It's like one of those topics where it can come up on either paper because you can do this without a calculator. It's just some simple multiplication and division, so it can come up on either paper really. Okay, so we have 540. So we have the angles 90, add 90, add 160, add 115, add x, they must total 540 degrees. Now, when we do 90, add 90, add 160, add 115, that gives you an answer of 455. So we have 455, add x, and that's equal to 540 degrees. Okay, and at the moment we have x and it's being added to 455. We don't want that add 455. We want the x to be by itself. So to get rid of that 455, we're going to subtract 455. We're going to do the opposite, subtract 455 from both sides. Okay, and 455 subtract 455 is 0, so that's going to get rid of that. We're left with x on this side, and it's going to be equal to 540 subtract 455. And that's going to get you an answer of 85 degrees. Okay, so your answer over here is x equals 85 degrees. Okay, so now we're going to take it up another level and we're going to have a look at a question like this. Okay, so it says ABCDEF is a hexagon. Angle CDE is 2 times angle BCD. Work out the size of angle CDE. Okay, so we started off simple, we got a bit harder, and now we're getting even harder. So let's have a look at this shape. So we know it's in a hexagon, and we know that because we're given angles in a polygon, we're going to be using that formula, n minus 2 multiplied by 180 degrees. So we're going to be using n minus 2 multiplied by 180 degrees. But what are we working out? Let's have a look at that first. Okay, so it says angle CDE, we're only going to focus on that middle letter, which is D, is 2 times angle BCD. Okay, what does that mean? Do we know angle BCD? Do we know angle C? We don't know what angle C is. Okay, so let's just call that X. We don't know what angle C is. Because we don't know what it is, we're just calling it X. Okay, and we don't know what angle D is as well. We don't know what this angle is as well. Okay, but we do know that angle D is 2 times angle C. And if angle C, we've just called it X. So that means angle D is 2 lots of X because it's 2 times angle BCD. It's 2 lots of X. And what is 2 times X? 2 times X is just 2X. So that means angle D is going to be 2X. And that's the hardest part of this question. Whenever you get angles in polygon questions and they take you up to another harder level and they increase the difficulty, that's basically what they're asking you to do. They're going to add in a little bit of algebra and they're going to try sort of make you even more confused. But if you take it step by step, you know that angle D is 2 times angle C. You're going to look at angle C. Do we know angle C? We don't know angle C, so we're just going to call it X. But we know angle D is 2 lots of that X. It's 2 times X. And 2 times X is going to get you an answer of 2X. Okay, so that's why angle D is 2X. So what do we need to know? We want to work out the size of angle D. Okay, so let's work this out. So we know n minus 2 multiplied by 180 degrees gives you the sum of all the angles in the shape. How many sides do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 sides in this shape. So we're going to do 6 minus 2 multiplied by 180 degrees. And that's going to get you an answer of 720 degrees. Okay, so that's what all the angles in this shape, in this hexagon, add up to. Okay, so that means that 129, add 125, add 144, add 121, add 2x, add x, all of that must be equal to 720 degrees. Okay, so if we add them together, so we have 129, add 125, add 144, add 121, add 2x, add x, all of that must be equal to 720 degrees. Okay, so let's simplify the numbers first. Okay, we've got 129, add 125, add 144, add 121. Let's add all of those together. When we add all of them together, that's going to get you an answer of 519. This would ideally be worth around 3 marks in an exam. Okay, so 519. And then let's simplify the x's. So we have 2x add x. 2x add x is going to get you an answer of 3x. So we have 519 add 3x, and that's equal to 720 degrees. You then want the x to be by itself. At the moment, it's being multiplied by 3, and 519 is being added onto it. So let's get rid of that 519 first. Okay, so we're going to subtract 519 from both sides to get rid of it. Okay, and that's going to get rid of that 519. So we're going to be left with 3x on this side, and that's going to be equal to 720 subtract 519. That's going to get you an answer of 201. And then we want x to be by itself. At the moment, it's being multiplied by this annoying 3 over here. So to get rid of that multiply by 3, we want to do the opposite of it. So we're going to divide by 3. And whatever we do to one side, we must do the same to the other side. So we're going to divide this side by 3 as well. And that's going to get rid of the 3 from this side. Okay, so then we're going to have x by itself, and that's going to be equal to 201 divided by 3, and that's going to get you an answer of 67. Okay, so x is equal to 67. But is that what we need to work out? We want to work out the size of angle CDE. We know that angle D is 2 lots of x. Okay, it's not just x, it's 2 lots of x. And 2 lots of x, we know that x is 67. Angle D is 2 lots of x. So we're going to do 2 times 67, and that's going to get you what angle D is going to be equal to. So that means that angle D is 134 degrees. Okay, so your answer is going to be 134 degrees. So that was a slightly more difficult question, but ultimately over here, you need to read this first line and you need to understand what it means. It says angle CDE. Always just look at the middle letter. You don't need to look at any other letter, just look at the middle letter. See, angle D is equal to two lots of angle C. Do we know what angle C is? We don't know what it is, so we're just going to label it with the X. We know that D is two lots of that angle, and we know that angle is X. So 2 times X is 2X. So we're going to label it as 2X, angle D. Okay, and then we're going to be using our normal rule, n minus 2 multiplied by 180 degrees. That gave us 720 degrees. We know that all the angles, they must add up to that 720 degree mark. So when we add them all together, we get 519, add 3x, and that's equal to 720. We're going to rearrange to get x by itself. So we're going to subtract 519 from both sides. And then we're going to divide by 3 on both sides, and we're going to work out a value for x. So x is equal to 67. But do we want to work out what x is? No, we want to work out what angle D is. And we know that angle D is two lots of x. It's not just x, it's two lots of it. So if x is equal to 67, we want to work out what 2x is. So we're going to do 2 times 67, and that's going to get you 134 degrees. And that's your final answer. Okay, so I'm just thinking, just because we've not had a go at a question like this, think what we'll do, we'll have a look at this in our next lesson as a starter. We'll have a look at this question. Okay, now this question isn't as difficult as it seems. Okay, it says work out the size of the angle marked X. Okay, now you're given pentagons. You're given 3 pentagons. So I'll give you guys a clue. Work out the size of this angle, work out the size of this angle, work out the size of this angle. Okay? And you can work that out because you know that n minus 2 times 180 degrees, and then you divide it by the number of sides to get you what the angle is. And then you know that angles around a point, they add up to 360 degrees. Okay? So I'll give you guys just a couple of minutes to have a go at this question. Don't worry if you can't get it. I'll go through it in a couple of minutes. Okay, so have a go at it. Type your answer into the Q&A once you've had a go. Okay, so if we start going through the answers, we need to work out the size of the angle marked X. Now we're given 3 pentagons over here. They are regular pentagons, which means that all the angles are the same. Now, because it's a pentagon, let's look at this pentagon, for example. We've got this pentagon. And we know that because it's angles and it's a polygon, we're going to be using n minus 2 multiplied by 180 degrees. And we know that in a pentagon, you have 5 sides. So you're going to do 5 minus 2 times 180 degrees. That's going to get you 540 degrees. And to work out each individual angle in a pentagon, you're going to divide it by the number of angles that there are. So there are 5 angles, so you're going to divide it by 5, and that's going to get you the size of each individual angle. So if you divide it by 5, that's going to get you an answer of 108 degrees. So each angle is 108 degrees. And this goes for all the angles in every pentagon. So this is a pentagon as well. It's just a different pentagon. Even over here, all the angles are going to be 108 degrees. Okay, and even in this pentagon, all the angles are going to be 180 degrees. So 108, 108, 108, 108, and 108. Now we need to work out what this angle is, marked X. Okay, so to work out what the angle is, you know a special fact. Okay, a special fact as in, you know that angles around a point add up to 360 degrees. So angles around a point add up to 360 degrees. So around this point that we have in the center, all these angles, they must add up to 360 degrees. Okay, so we have 108, add 108, add 108, add X. All of those must add up to 360 degrees. So 108 add 108 add 108 is going to get you an answer of 324. And then 324 add X must equal 360. We want X to be by itself. At the moment, it's being added to 324. So let's get rid of that add 324 by doing the opposite. Let's subtract 324 from both sides. And that's going to get rid of 324 from this side. So it's going to be X equals 360. Subtract 324, and that's going to get you an answer of 36 degrees. So X is equal to 36 degrees as your final answer.